Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey. Today I'm going to talk about my body of work titled I Will Remember, where I explore grief, loss, and memory. This work stems from the idea that personal and more universal senses of shared experiences can be emotionally similar, meaning that the remembrance of a process such as letterpress printing may be just as intimate as the remembrance of a specific person. To expand on this, I have been exploring how universality exists within our digital consumption as much as it exists in our experiences regarding the limitations of our memory due to a phenomenon called childhood amnesia, which I will talk about more soon. The usage of typography in communication is one of the best examples of universally shared experiences. This type of universality is about design and typographic characteristics that appeal to the masses and last decades. Futura, for example, is a font that seeped into every corner of our lives, including technology and commerce, and taste and convenience. Typefaces such as this will always exist in some form, whether it be in the now rare form of metal or wood type, or as a downloadable font file. This way of communicating will never fade. But one thing about type that often slips our minds is that there was a time when letterpress printers dominated the practice of typography. Having the means to imagine this past helps artists, typographers, and everyday people to appreciate and embrace the universal typefaces of today. In my typeface, I use geometric characteristics to capture the essence of favorites such as Futura. Along with the typeface, I created a few drawings depicting elements of letterpress printing and compositions that strive to capture the meticulous nature of the process. Prior to this new typeface creation, I used type as a memorial by creating typefaces from handwriting samples of my grandmother, my mother, and myself. These typefaces serve to eternally represent and memorialize the individual. Using typeface as a memorial of specific people led to the exploration of using type to memorialize a larger universal process. This new typeface is not just about capturing the meticulous nature of analog typesetting, it is also about memorializing a process that is slowly being forgotten. So the typefaces that I have created, both handwritten and geometric, serve as symbolic memorials that I hope will surpass time. Traditionally, memorials provide echoes from the past that serve as a reminder of what is remembered and what we may remember as time progresses. Time capsules, for example, are anything intended to preserve the past for the future. They afford a means to remember in case the world forgets. In 1974, artist Andy Warhol began his time capsule project, in which he questioned notions of transience, permanence, and history. The boxes served as a collective remembrance as they represent a continuous preservation of an individual. For me, these typefaces are time capsules. They serve as a collective remembrance of each individual and of characteristics of letterpress type. Other artists I want to point out who have grappled with the idea of memorializing are Jennifer Lober and Felix Gonzalez Torres. In her project titled Left Behind, Lober pieced objects to snapshots, which created a photographic memorial that connects artifacts to vibrant moments frozen in film. Like Warhol, Gonzalez Torres dealt with the notion of transience of time in his piece titled Untitled Perfect Lovers. The clocks eventually fall out of sync, but were initially set to the same time. Both artists reveal their individual journey with mourning and their personal process of finding ways to memorialize an individual, which is essentially what I am doing in my work as well. The drawings I have created are a depiction of my truth of what I remember about my grandmother. Young children cannot create enduring memories until the 6 to 8 age range, so few memories are retrievable once we reach adulthood, and this is called childhood amnesia. A study conducted by Wetzler and Sweeney puts memories into two classifications: known memories and remember memories. A remember memory is a personal recollection where one actually remembers the occurrence of the event. A known memory is an event an individual knows happened, but their knowledge of the event is based on an external source, such as pictures or stories. In looking at the context of my work, this research explains why I'm unable to recall many of the experiences that I had with my grandmother. I was only 10 years old at the time of her passing, so I have relied on photos and family stories for my information. Considering many of my memories are known memories as a result of this, I have had to construct these bits of information into cohesive ideas that I can call my own. They may not be 100% accurate, but they help me form my own story about my grandmother. I try to represent these fragments through my line work, personal yet relatable imagery, and use of white space. We sadly do not remember all of our conscious experiences. We misremember many of our experiences, and memory fades over time. The detail in my drawings represents my desire to remember the full memory or association. More often than not, I simply can't remember the events that occurred around the same time as the reference photographs were taken. I like to think that this is where the white space comes in. For me, it represents the lack of other memories as I focus in on certain ones. It also represents the fleeting nature of time. I may not remember the same memory a year or two from now. And I always ask myself, wait, did that really happen? So, as I wrap up, I want to circle back to letterpress. Although the product, type printed on paper, is shared universally, the process in which this information is mass printed is personal. It involves the dedication, time, and hands of the printer in typesetting, feeding paper, and running and cleaning the machines. Letterpress enthusiasts develop a love for all aspects of the process, and this level of intimacy is essentially gone once we introduce digital typesetting to the mix. We all must grapple with experiences caused by irreversible change at some point in our lives, be it through the loss of a loved one in death or the fading out of a beloved process. We are all exposed to the same emotions and inevitabilities. We all cope, we all remember, but the rates and the capacity in which this happens varies. People in analog processes often do not stand the test of time, but the ways in which we remember, memorialize, and think about them can. Thank you.